What's going on, y'all? It's J Smo Reviews here, back at it again with another video, man. Here to talk about a card, doing a predictions video, as it was more quiet as we were waiting for the April events, right? Obviously we still have Apollo on the way, One Night Stand on the way from Bags and Bodies, but Trenches has been hinting that they got something on the way. I saw Eazy kind of laying some breadcrumbs, and then finally he goes live. I believe it wasn't yesterday; it was 2 days ago on his channel, and announces the full "Pray for My Enemies" card, which I think booking wise, which we're going to talk about in detail with each matchup. But I like the way that this card is booked. There's two things I noticed: one, Eazy versus Swamp, which is a bit of a grudge match now, which a lot of Eazy battles turned into, but you have the class versus class. I think their styles match up well in the world where we know Eazy has been trying to battle bigger battlers to secure million view battles on YouTube. We heard his name thrown around with the likes of like a Murda Mook matchup. Obviously, Arsenal's went at him. I know he had talked about maybe battling Math at some point, and a couple, particularly Arsenal and Math, two matchups I don't want to see, but on the numbers wise, probably do a lot for him. People want to see him versus Twerk and Rock, but we know that it's been hard for them to find middle ground. So in a world where he's looked at these bigger matchups, I think Swamp is an active top tier right now, and maybe he can't generate the same numbers as those other guys. He generates maybe the best type of fight. I think these guys can have an incredible battle. Obviously, I'll talk about that more when you get there, but that's the first thing that pops off the page, Eazy versus Swamp. And I also want to say he got Tru Foe, Danny, and Swamp, right? Who, if you remember, were all pulled off the original Trenches card, where there was the big deal of URL blocking the battles and the backouts. I believe Holmesy was a part of that as well, a couple other battlers. But he kind of spins back. He gets Swamp. He gets Tru Foe and Rose, which I know that there was a few battles thrown together at the time with Rosenberg, but I think that was one of them that was kind of thought about going down. And then Danny Myers versus King, one of my favorite matchups on the card. So I don't know, those are just the first couple things that I noticed, but I think they did a good job mixing and matching some of these bookings. There's at least 2 to 3 battles on the year that I'm really, really excited to see, and anything that's complimentary is usually serving to the purpose of like elevating or giving a look to one of the Trenches artists, because Eazy's done a really good job at like focusing on the development and kind of like always keeping these guys active that are under like the actual Trenches roster. You got a female matchup on there as well. There's a few things to talk about. Without further ado, we'll start from the bottom of the card. So starting from the bottom of the card, we got Dre Majesty versus Presidential Dubs, which is like a mini grudge match. They've been going at it since early, back when like the tournament was happening. And I have Dre winning 2-1, if not 3-0. You know, a Prezi classic, we go hard, like animated across the board, animated before the battle, animated during the battle, loud, you know what I'm saying, aggressive. This is kind of who he is, and I think in the face-off, obviously, the little space-off they had at work kind of cooked you there, Dre, and that's where you'd figure Presidential Dubs, where it's just a war of who's going to stop talking first. A we go hard guy is never going to stop talking, right? Never going to stop yelling. But when it comes to the actual raps, I think Dre is a bit better, and this is just an opportunity to have, like, that grudge match, just a constant non-stop talking kind of promo guy. How do you handle that? Do you let it get in your head a little bit, or do you handle business when it comes to the battle? I just think he's better, and hopefully he can keep elevating, because ever since, you know, even though he's not one of the main prospects, he's like 3rd or 4th, like kind of in the ranks of who Eazy is developing. There's reason Dre keeps appearing on these cards. He's definitely got something. So I got him winning versus Prezi. Then we got Riggs versus J Murda. I haven't seen from J Murda in a minute. I think RBE kind of going the way they went, it specifically hurts a guy like J Murda, who would always get some plates there. And on par with Riggs, I think Riggs might outrank him a little bit at this very like notion in time in battle rap, just because he's been more active. But Riggs is back here. I got Riggs 2-1 over J Murda. It's not a battle I'm particularly most excited for, but I think they're both respectable pros. I want to see it. Maybe J Murda will translate good on the Trenches. More of a straight like real talk, street talk, even a little bit of comedy in there, like very blunt force battle rapper. It's not so much about the bars with him as it is other things, but Riggs has made a home in the Trenches. He's done good on there for the most part, really across the board. Even the one, you know, I think the Snake Eyes loss, kind of when Riggs was building up momentum, put him back a little bit. But I think the Tex battle was even after that, which was really good on here. And I know that he kind of wants bigger names and vets. So we'll see, you know, if he'll ever work back up into that kind of conversation. But J Murda is someone that's about eye level with him tier wise, and I think he'll handle that battle 2-1. Danny Myers versus King is one of my favorite battles in the card. How can you not like Danny Myers versus King? Absolute bar fest. Been supposed to have happened, to be honest with you. And I think it's a battler that immediately King draws a lot of comparisons to, with that just relentless style of punching back to back to back. It's like energy that'll never die, that like never runs out of bars type of kind of optics that he puts on himself. So this battle is going to be a lot of punching and a lot of yelling, but it's going to be very, very good in my opinion. And as I said earlier, Danny, one of those people who originally got pulled off the first card, is going to end up here. Obviously, I'm praying for my enemies. Maybe you'll see him refer to that situation a bit, even King angle on that situation, we'll see. And I think that could be the difference in the battle. If we're talking straight up punching, Danny is Danny no matter where he goes, and those that'll pick Danny 2-1, I think he's been a little bit less reliable battling down. I thought Klutz got the better of him. Oh, God, there's another shot I'm not remembering right now that I thought someone got the better of him. But Danny didn't have his best year last year. From Shooty, the L to Shooty, from the L to Klutz. A couple other battles I barely had him on the losing side of. You know, he still was solid because he's a high pro-level battler in the amount that he battles. But he wasn't just racking in W's the way he has. But I think King is one of those, you know, not all shots are built the same. You can give shots where you're completely, it's like no name, and you're doing all the work for them, right? And you might get a more reserved version. But King is like, has enough buzz that it means something to give him a shot. You know, you have respect. That's why Cortez, I think, showed up good for King, where it's like, all right, yeah, he's a new guy, but he's a new guy that has momentum behind him. So people will be tuning in to see kind of if he can get past me or the performance that I can give him. So I think you'll get a better Danny than you got for most of last year, but I am going King 2-1. Granted, I had him winning going into the Cortez battle. I had Cortez on the rewatch, right? And if you get a good Danny Myers, that could be a lot for King, but I think I've heard King specifically refer to Danny as on his Mount Rushmore, so one of his like top 4, top 5 battlers ever, and motivation is so big in battle rap. I truly believe that he thinks Danny Myers is one of the 4 or 5 best battle rappers, at least to him, that he's ever seen. That is going to make King go into extreme danger mode, right? Like, that's going to make him turn it all the way up, because if he really views him like that, you know what I'm saying, who else would you bring your best version of? I think their styles play off each other well, so this could end up being Battle of the Night. I'm not going to pick it, but if it does end up Battle of the Night, I won't be too shocked, and I would love to see King get back into the angle bag towards, like, if it's in his third, but in general, that he was for Z to drop out and he was for Los Prime. I thought that was a separating factor where he showed a lot of versatility. I thought after the back-to-back punching, which is always going to be kind of like the basis of his style, that really like mixed it in well, and then he'd have that real talk to him type of segment. I thought he was missing that a bit in the third versus Cortez. I know the crowd was kind of rough in that battle. This is going to be in the same place Eazy battled Reed, so real gritty setting. I like the optics for this battle. Obviously I love the style clash of it, and maybe it's the underdog pick. I'm going King 2-1 in what could be a dark horse contender for Battle of the Night. Now we got Amin versus Jay Moore, and look at Eazy tapping back into a bit of an old rivalry, a bit of old drama, right, in a storyline to make this battle happen. It's a battle that honestly I forgot that even though they had the incident, the raps didn't actually occur, right? So for those that don't remember what Amin and Jay Moore's backstory, they were exchanging some unpleasantries online, right? These guys were going back and forth for a minute. I don't remember how many years ago it was now. And then eventually there was an in-person video of Ace with Jay Moore apologizing, with Jay Moore saying, I shouldn't have said that. Real math and taxstone style, with Ace standing there kind of just making sure the apology happens, right? And that was crazy optics. That was drama of the day. Now fast forward however many years I feel like it's been, and we have the battle itself. Uphill battle for Jay Moore, right? Because obviously the whole apologizing on camera situation, that's going to come into the aspect. It's going to be, I'm sure there's going to be dialogue back and forth between the two of them. And honestly, skill for skill wise, I do think Amin is a better battle rapper than Jay Moore. We're talking just straight rapping ability. We're talking pen work. We're talking even a bit of performance experience. There's so many reasons that not only does he have this angle going his way, but Amin is also like just a better battle rapper than Jay Moore, right? However, the one thing that could help Jay Moore here is simply that Ace has not been clean for quite some time now. And if Amin comes in this battle stumbling the way that he's been stumbling, or doesn't treat it serious, or just can't really get it together, that's going to be a problem, and Ace will lose this battle. However, just because of the uniqueness of the storyline here, I feel like Ace is going to want to make an example of it, because how often do you have an angle of this magnitude that personally ties into it? I could see him really using that. Obviously, he can get into quite a soulful street talk bag. We know how Jay Moore gets down. I think Ace can match him in that department, but also outshine him in the writing department as well. I'm going Ace Amin 2-1 going into this battle. Very risky with the way that he's been performing his material clean, or really the lack of performing his material clean. But I just think that angle goes too much in his favor. I think Jay Moore will put up a fight. And if he wins, I'm here to apologize. But I think this might be, I don't even know if it's the one that'll get Ace back on track. Like, he'll stay consistent after that. But even just for this battle, just for this situation, I think he wants to follow through on that storyline and backstory they have. And I think he gives a good performance here and gets the W. And then from there, before we get to the main event, Coffee versus Bonnie Gadiva. I feel like this has been booked before, got unbooked. I feel like it was somewhere on a smaller league, but I got Coffee 2-1, if not 3 over Bonnie. I just think that she is better. I think she's one of the best female battle rappers in the world right now. She's coming off the 3-0 victory versus Swamp, who we'll talk about in a second. And ironically, even though like that battle wasn't that crazy, I think like between the crowd and even Swamp kind of like not trying, it felt like, kind of bogged down Coffee's performance, where it wasn't her best, but I thought she was solid. She was good. Like, she wasn't like the bad part of that battle. I just think the situation was kind of hard for her to succeed or get any real impact off of, but that's a big one to be coming off of. Bonnie here, I feel like the woman versus woman matchup is going to bring more aggression. Bonnie's going to be serious for it. I just don't think she's better than Coffee right now. Then you have Rosenberg Raw versus Tru Foe. Hey, Froze heard Chilla say he's just a commentator. He said not going to have any of that. He signed the first contract that got sent his way, and now you got the return of Froze here versus Tru Foe, who's been doing some good things, man. Obviously, I just reviewed his A-Ward battle. I am on the winning side of that. I feel like I'm kind of the minority, but at the very least, I think everyone agrees that he competed very well. That was a great look for him and for me. Edged out a W. He's been doing a lot of work in Chicago. The Reed Dallas battle in Chicago. I guess X Factor was in Chicago. That was in Detroit, but that was a good look too. I think I'm forgetting one more. Oh, the Snake Eyes battle in Chicago. So he's been building up some work, and I think Froze is another like good opponent to get here. Their styles match up well. I love what Froze has done in this room before, particularly the Mike P battle. I always really liked his performance in that, whether you got him winning or losing. And I think Foe is going to be able to kind of match that, the street talk they're about to have, right? And I will say, we'll see if Froze is taking this personal. I do think he can reach a bit of a higher high than Foe, but I like what Foe's been doing. When Froze, and I think people don't understand, when Froze kind of stopped battling for a bit after the Av battle, he had a rough kind of patch leading up to that. From the Av battle, the Mike battle I liked. A lot of people did have him losing, though it's worth mentioning. The Shayna battle was not a good look whatsoever. Him and Don Marino, probably a closer battle than some people said it was. I know a lot of people gave him the loss. I don't think you can watch the battle now as a one-rounder. Him and Loso got vaulted. I heard he was not good whatsoever. I heard Loso was stumbling and Froze was just not good, and that's why that battle got vaulted. So he was on the downward trajectory going into those last few battles. So there was reason to critique. You'd think if he's coming back outside, there's gonna be a little bit more motivation there. But what means more? Motivation when someone wasn't looking so good, they have to get back on track, or Tru Foe, who's been on track, who's been good, and just now it's paying off with the opportunities he's getting. This battle could be close. It could go either way. I'm gonna go Tru Foe 2-1. I think he's been in better form. I think he's locked in. It's the most momentum he's had probably since the Geechee Gotti upset in UM5. There's a lot of reasons, if you're a fan of Tru Foe, to be excited about what he's doing right now. And if I could see him competing with A-Ward the way he just did, I'm confident in him in this Rosenberg Raw matchup. So for those that got Rose, let me know your reason for it, if you think he'll be great for this. But I'm almost pretty confident in this Tru Foe 2-1 pick. And up there with Danny and King, Ace and Jay Moore, Rosenberg versus Tru Foe are all undercard battles that I feel like takes a little bit of creative booking to get there, kind of, tap into the old storyline there. Rose's return, he's been talking a little bit with Tru Foe if you went in the files. Danny and King's matchup, I just think it's good booking so far, and it makes for a healthy undercard leading to what's going to be a phenomenal main event. And that main event is Eazy the Block Captain versus Swamp, which is good for so many different reasons. And I think first is this interclass thing to discuss. And like I had said earlier, and Eazy really doesn't want to do this battle, right? And a big reason is him wanting to battle those higher top tier legendary established names, add them to his resume, the impact factor, and he thought Swamp was beneath that. He thought, as of course they both probably do, he thought that he would easily beat Swamp, and he thinks he doesn't generate the impact, the numbers, the excitement he could get from these other bigger matchups. But a lot of people have given Eazy pressure about this, like interclass or battling in your era, right? He battled Fonz, which was a great battle in UM1. He lost the judge decision by just a razor's edge, but even some people had Eazy winning that battle. Like, it was a close and hard judge decision to call. Fonz would go on to win UM1. There's other matchups, they wanted Eazy and Ace for a while, which they were talking shit. It made some sense. I think their trajectory went two different ways, so I can't be mad at Eazy not taking that. Him versus Real Six, some people threw out there, which I think both of them are kind of on that path of gathering the legendary name, so I don't think either of them were trying to lock in for real, even though I think it would be competitive. And then Swamp was one that was brought up that made sense. Swamp wasn't in UM1, but he is of that class of battle rappers. He's counted as part of that class with the Fonzes, the Eazys, the Six, etc. And then Swamp, since 2022 going forward, has become top tier himself, and he's collected a bunch of those similar names. He's battled Rum Nitty, Twerk, Tay-Rock, JC, Arsenal, etc. Cal in Detroit not too long ago. We know the year he had in 2024. And this is a perfect example of they're from around that same class. They didn't immediately lock in, but they were throwing shots from the past they were on. Swamp says, I'll kill you. Obviously, DeBoss and everyone that kind of supports Swamp as well has went back and forth with Eazy a bit. Eazy has been very vocal about not wanting to battle Swamp, not being happy with the people that support Swamp either. There's just a mixture of competitive tension there and a little bit of bad blood that sometimes goes beyond the realm of just competitive back and forth, a little bit of words exchanged, questioning of character. So you have the class versus class aspect. It's been building up properly for a minute. I don't feel like it's been building up so long that we're here way after the fact. This is when the height of Eazy and Swamp has been going on, and now it's finally going down right here to start in May. I think it's going to be a great matchup now. There's been critiques about Eazy's recent form, right? That in the last 5, you could debate he's 1-4. I had him losing to Suge. I thought he did very good in that battle. I thought it was a nuclear and insanely great strategic Suge performance. Had him on the losing side of that. Obviously, he even said himself he lost to Charlie Clips. Him and John John is an extremely great debatable battle. I edged John John the battle. I'm not mad at anyone giving it to Eazy. And you could go back and back, really from the Geechee battles where people started giving him the critiques. He had the Will W, nuclear Will W, somewhere in between there. But it wasn't, like the 15 battle win streak that people had become accustomed to, and naturally that combined with all the angles and stuff out there when it comes to Remy and how Eazy's handled these situations. A lot of pushback for Eazy, right? However, while Swamp was building up and people wanted it, and I thought him downplaying the Swamp battle was a little much because Swamp was winning at a top tier level, doing great things that Eazy had done at one point, you know what I mean? And while Eazy's kind of taking a couple more L's and Swamp is taking some legacy W's, he's downplaying it like it's so far beneath him. But now that we're here, we look at Swamp's last 2 battles. Marv won battle, who no one has seen it yet, outside of those that were in the building, but I heard that he did not take that battle all too serious, and that Marv might have won 2-1, 3-0 style, at least clear, right? So I can't fully confirm, right, but I heard that Marv won the battle. And then him and Coffee definitely won. And it definitely felt more like, Swamp did really good versus Miss Hustle. Thought he had figured out the versus women matchup things. But then versus Casey, it reminded me more of his Casey J performance, what he did versus Coffee, where he just was like quitting around 60 seconds in, wasn't taking it serious. So he's coming in off 2 L's potentially. 2 L's in battles that I think Coffee at least is a good fight. Like, if Coffee got the better of him in a competitive bout, that'd be one thing. To get cleared, though, and I think he definitely should have beat Marv, and it sounds like he just didn't take that serious. So Swamp is actually coming in with a little bit of doubt. A couple L's going into this Eazy matchup. Do I think he's going to treat Eazy anything like he allegedly had treated Marv and he treated Coffee? Absolutely not. He's been wanting this. It's one of the biggest battles that's out there for him, besides maybe Goods, I think, is someone else Swamp wants to battle. Maybe Hollow to Don, that's someone else that he's called out. But an Eazy battle is, I'm not going to say as big, it depends situationally, but battling Eazy, it's a big-ass battle, man. You know what I'm saying? Every Eazy battle, it becomes kind of a mini event within itself. It's the way he books himself, kind of the same path that a Sue Surf or a Hitman Holla is taken, building up each matchup with promo. It all means something. And, it's a humongous battle for Swamp. It's really a big battle for both, considering the pressure they put on themselves talking shit. And with all that being said, my backstory of it, their form going into the battle, who do I have winning? I have Eazy the Block Captain 2-1 over Swamp. I don't know if I would have given the same answer a little bit ago. I think those couple losses show Swamp, who was at his top form, maybe easing up a bit. But I also think that there's angles to go back and forth here with the backstory. And if it's in a war of angles, I sound like I'm repeating myself from the Suge battle, right? Because I said that, and then look at the angle Suge came with. And obviously, the obvious will be attacked with Eazy a bit here when it comes to Remy. But each time the angle's used, if it's not completely reinvented in a new way, the content is not going to get... There's so many things to talk about between the punch, lying about the punch, the way he handled it afterwards, the way he talks as kind of publicly talk to his talent at times that some people can think looked a little bit controlling. There's different topics to attack where I know some Eazy fans will try to immediately invalidate everything. Oh, as long as he doesn't bring up this, and this, like what angles are just off the board for this guy now? Like, get over yourself. However, you got to find a way to do it creatively. You can't do it the way the person that just did it. You know what I mean? You have to put your own spin on it. I think Swamp has the ability to do that. I think the drug talk that both will share, the street talk, they'll both have a little bit of life talk. They'll discuss some more morals and principles, right, on these topics. I think Swamp can do good, but I think Eazy's a better angler. I think he's surgical. He's been extremely confident in this matchup, which he was versus Suge, but I think maybe that wakes up a little bit more in him. He fully locks in, knowing he needs a W here. Swamp needs a W here, considering the way he's kind of chased after him. But I just have a little bit more confidence in the ability and the current form of Eazy the Block Captain going into this battle with Swamp. This might change depending on how the promo goes. There's a lot of things to consider. I might even do another video on this battle before it comes out, but as of right now, I do have Eazy the Block Captain 2-1 edge versus Swamp, and this, in my opinion, will be the battle of the night on Pray For My Enemies. And that is my initial and full thoughts on this Trenches card right now, and just to go over how I called it, Dre Majesty 2-1 3-0 clear over Prezi, Riggs 2-1 over J Murda, King 2-1 over Danny, Dark Horse contender for battle of the night, Ace Amin 2-1 over J Moore, Coffee 2-1 3-0 over Bonnie, Tru Foe 2-1 edge over Rosenberg Raw. I have Eazy the Block Captain in the battle of the night versus Swamp with the 2-1 edge, subject to change because this is obviously one that you're going to see a lot of back and forth. Who knows? It feels like every time an Eazy battle is about to happen, another angle comes out or another way of looking at things, some event that adds to it. So I'm sure we're going to have a lot of talk about Eazy versus Swamp over the next month or so leading up to the battle. But now I want to hear your guys' opinions. First of all, how do you feel about the card? Say the card is a good 7, 8 out of 10 on paper, and I mean that like in a good way. It could be higher depending on, if Ace and J Moore have a great battle, that adds to it. If Danny and King turns out as its best version, that all adds to it. But to work with like a 7 or an 8 out of 10, just off kind of creativity of the booking, because you don't have the biggest names on the card, but like I said, Danny versus King, Ace versus J Moore, Rosenberg versus Tru Foe, like these are all battles that kind of matter. There's stakes in it for the battlers involved, whether it's backstory or trajectory and style matchup, and then Eazy versus Swamp being great makes the card matter no matter what. And I find it hard to believe that battle won't be possibly the best version of itself. So how do you feel about the card overall? What are some of your favorite matchups? And of course, when it comes to Eazy versus Swamp, how are you calling it? For what reason are you calling it that way? There's a million different ways to view that battle. So I want to hear what you guys have to say in the comment section down below, man. But it's been J Smo Reviews again here, y'all. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'm going to catch you on the next one, man. Peace.